Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Press the Action Button podcast. We have an action-packed show for you this week. I am your host, Joystick. With me once again this week is D-Pad. How are you this week, D-Pad?
Hey guys, it's me. How's it going? I'm doing fantastic this week. What's going on, fellas? Detroit, Rock City. Bow chicka bow wow.
What's going on is Dwayne and Brando are going to be playing a show with Brental Floss in Detroit.
Wow, is that
so
one of
awesome.
our topics?
No, but I'm just mentioning it because you mentioned Detroit.
I would give my third testicle to go see them.
If I had a third testicle, so would I. I don't need three. Anyway, also
you don't really need two either.
You don't even need one, Alex.
I know. I know.
Anyway, with me again this week, and you just heard him, is Game Face. How are you this week, Game Face?
I'm good. Game Face good. I like this show. I go to work. I come back. I eat rice and beans, and then I sit down and I record this show. Good show. Good show.
Okay, whatever. Oh man, a bit of site news. I have decided that I am not going to report rumors on the website. That's why I didn't report anything on Gears of War.
Us.
No, like rumors around the gaming industry. That's why I didn't report any Gears of War 3 news on the website this week, because there's...
So it's not really news if it's rumors.
Exactly, that's my point. That's why I decided I'm not going to report on them.
Okay.
I mean, what's there to report if it's nothing more than a rumor? It might be true, it might not be true.
I guess we could still talk about it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with talking about rumors on the podcast, but I won't be posting them up as news articles on the website. I decided that instead of that, I'm just going to give you the highlights, what really matters, stuff like that.
Staples. Just like bread and eggs.
Yeah, I'm going to start moving some of the stuff on the main page, from the main page to the news archive. And I have decided that for that, I'm going to just have it listed on the page. And once you get down 15, 20 articles or so, it'll just have a thing that says older. And you'll click that to get to older news. It's just a listing, and I suppose that would be ultimately be easier to do than having a website for each individual article, which some of the articles are really small to begin with, so...
Is that how we have it right now? It's like a different page?
No.
Every article,
Well, I don't have anything on the news archive yet. I haven't posted anything. I'm going to start doing that this week.
Alright. Hey, what are we drinking tonight?
We are drinking a nice, fine Yuling Black and Tan. One of my personal favorites. Not for everyone. Some hate it. I love it.
You can only get Yuling in Pennsylvania, and I've only seen one place with Shiner Bock in here, and that kind of makes me sad.
That's not true. I saw Yuling in Florida.
Details.
And
Screw
New
you
Jersey.
with your Details. But New Jersey sucks. The only good thing to come out of New Jersey is Kevin Smith.
Moonshine, maybe, if you feel like crossing the border. I think it's legal there.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we got a toast. We got a toast for this. I love black and tan.
Tradition.
Tradition. Hold your microphone. I want them to hear this. Sexy.
Well, that's a little large squiggly line on the audio recording there. That'll probably be louder than anything else.
I feel like Yuling is just like the standard of beer, you know, whether it's Yuling Lager or black and tan or whatever.
Yeah, around here in Pennsylvania, if you're listening to us out of state, you probably are. In Pennsylvania, Yuling Lager is so commonplace that you can go into a bar.
A Boromir bar?
A Boromir bar. You can go into
You
a
just
bar.
don't simply walk into the bar. Into bar.
You can walk into a bar and just ask for a lager, and they automatically know you're talking about Yuling. In fact, a lot of people just call it lager.
Wizards. and ninjas and ninja wizards.
I'm a wizard.
But you're not a ninja.
Winjas.
And bears. An army of bears.
Dude,
that shoot
ninja
laser
bears.
beams out of their eyes.
Is anybody like imagining ninja bears right now and how unstoppable they would be to the human race? Are you too heavy to be a ninja?
Hey, you say that, but there was a Jedi hut.
Whoa. That
You
made
think-
my brains hurt.
You think that he wound up turning to the Sith and ruling over a planet for a long ass time? Yes, Jabba. There was a Jabba. There was a Jedi hut.
A Jedi. I imagine like a...
Jebediah.
I imagine like
Was a
a
bullfrog.
cougar or something.
Ninja
Cougars.
frog.
Yes.
No, wait, ninja turtle.
Ninja Turtle. Yeah, nobody saw that coming, and that worked out just fine.
That worked out great. Turtles are slow.
Does anybody,
Ninjas are not slow.
does anybody remember Street Sharks?
Yes.
They
Vaguely.
rolled around on
Jawsome.
Jawsome. They said shit like Jawsome, and they'd shark dive, and they go and they'd swim around in the concrete.
I remember that. And then Thundercats.
Thundercats is cool. I never
Yeah.
watched it.
Thundercats. Oh! Yeah. What else?
So, should we get on with the topic, or I have a little bit of news to report here. Should we start with our topics, or should I get this out of the way?
Well, do you want to get it out of the way now, or?
Yeah, why not? So I can, kind of relax a little bit. Anyway, so over the weekend, I had the privilege of playing Final Fantasy 13 finally.
He makes it sound like it wasn't a privilege at all.
Ha ha ha. Irony. What's there to say
Irony.
about... what can I say about Final Fantasy 13? I could say a lot. There's already been a laundry list of complaints about this game, but I'm not going to go and parrot all that back to you, as you've probably already heard them. I'm just going to give you a recap of my overall experience. Somebody told me at work that it takes about 5 hours of gameplay for it to start getting good. Now, to me, that is just stupid. Why would I invest 5 precious hours of my life in something in hopes of it becoming worthwhile, when there are several pastimes I can think of that start being entertaining as soon as I start doing them?
No.
I can think of one of them already. Starts with an M, ends with an N, involves shooting. I'm talking about Mega Man, of course. But to be honest, though, I really didn't like it at first, and to my chagrin, I can announce that it did kind of grow on me after a few hours of gameplay.
I've heard that it gets good after the 20-hour mark, is what I keep hearing from people.
Yeah,
And that's just absurd.
It didn't get good in the 4 or so hours that I played it for. It didn't really get good, but it got kind of...
Less shitty?
Yeah. Yeah. Got kind of... it kind of kept me going. The story is, as they've said, really foggy, but they give you just enough information to make you want to see what happens next. Enough that's incentive to keep moving forward. Sort of. Well, that and the little yellow blinker on the top of your, map screen that tells you where you're supposed to go for the next event. Anyway, the scenery is really good. The character design is a little over the top, but, it's
That's
always
typical
like
of Tetsuya Nomura.
Hmm?
Everything he does is over the top and generic anime.
that. Yeah, pretty much.
Just look at Kingdom Hearts.
The thing that really got to me, however, is the combat system. It's short and concise, kind of like an FF6, but it's overcomplicated. And with all the innovation they packed into it, it really does not enhance the experience at all. Now, I'm sure you've already heard that you only control the party leader, and your supporting characters just react to AI. You can alter the AI of your supporting characters, but the options that they give your main character don't seem to be all that different from one another. If you remember in the days of old, when you get... even if you start off in a game where your only option is to attack, as soon as you get another ability, it's like, oh, now I get to do this. I used to be able to just do that, but now I can do this, and soon I'll be able to do that. It's like, it's an occasion. It's not like that in FF13. You can attack in another way, you can use a potion on your party, or you can attack in another way, and other than attacking and using a potion, it all just kind of looks the same. So, what you have here is something that's really amazing. Fight scenes that you can play with one hand. I'm not even close to kidding. I mean, there's auto attacking. It just picks the best option, which is usually attack. And you just keep tapping the A button, or I guess it's the X button if you're playing on PS3. I played it on Xbox.
PS3 version is technically superior.
I'd love to see that, because even on Xbox, the scenery was really good.
If you see a side-by-side comparison, it's definitely noticeable. The PlayStation 3 has a cleaner and crisper look, and it's less washed out.
Global, flobal, wobbly bits. Yeah, well, anyway. Now, when I figured out, there's some neat things that you can do. When I figured out the preemptive attack and how to stagger enemies, that was really cool. When I figured out how to use the AI to optimize performance during the big battles, which is mostly important in boss fights, it felt really good. I mean, it's like, oh, I can develop kind of a strategy kind of a thing going right now. But it was easy, and every single major battle that's worth any attention is punctuated by a prompt offering you a combat tutorial. More often than not, it was a strategy tip explaining something that I had already figured out. I mean, like, literally, this game is 2 steps behind me. Like, I figured out, you go all-out offensive, you set it on the, it's actually called, I forget what the...
So what you're saying is it's like 5 hours of tutorial?
It's, the tutorials are brief, but, like, I'm not that dumb. I might look like it,
but
I'm...
even worse than Kingdom Hearts 2.
I'm used to the old days when, you have turn-based combat and it means you have to strategize. So that's what I started doing. I started coming up with strategies. And once I figured it out that you go on all-out offensive until you get them staggered, and then you fall back onto the solidarity mode, to heal your party after they're staggered, and just use your main character to attack. Just when I figured that out, the game goes and tells me to do that. I'm like, I'm 2 steps ahead of you, game. And aside from that, the whole game is just so easy. You can even regenerate health automatically after every battle. I mean, it's like...
Well, Final Fantasy X was like that too. Very, very, very easy.
This is even easier.
12 proposed quite a bit more of a challenge than 10 did, thank fucking God.
You don't need to heal yourself after a battle, it does that for you. You walk the equivalent of 1 city block, you walk that far and you will inevitably run across 1 cutscene, 2 save points, and 3 treasure balls. And the treasures... they're everywhere, and you can tell where they're going to be because the map at the top of the screen has these blatant little nooks and crannies that obviously don't have any other purpose. I've got potions out the wazoo, I have weapons and crystal points that I keep forgetting to use, and weapons that I don't feel like buying at the stores. Why would I? In 4 hours of gameplay, I died once. Once! The whole time, the whole weekend of playing, and that was only because I wasn't watching my life bar. So with all these customization options and ways that you can optimize your characters, I'm not going to take the time to bother to figure it out until this game actually finally takes off its baby gloves and puts its dukes up.
Well, my biggest problem with this one is just how absurdly linear it is. It's like a freaking corridor RPG. There is no exploration at all. Just point A to point B, point A to point B. Hold forward on the thumbstick to get to the next cutscene.
There is actually a little bit of exploration, but it's usually like in a set. You can't travel from like town to town. You can't do that, but you have some rooms that are really, really extensive, and there's not just one path that you can go. You get to roam around and level up, and the enemies, I think, are respawning, so you can actually take your liberty and take a little bit extra time to level up. Not that you need to, because you're not gonna die. I really had to try to make it challenging. But I didn't mind the linearity. I mean, it was really, really linear by Final Fantasy standards, but
It would drive me nuts. It drove me nuts in Final Fantasy X.
I'm a platform buff. I can abide by that kind of thing. That's just me, though. I mean, if you like the
even
free
with
roaming,
platformers, some of my favorites are the more non-linear ones, like the Jak and Daxter series.
I'm just an old schooler. I grew up with Mario Brothers.
Shall we move to the first topic for this week?
Yes.
Okay, the Gears of War movie has suffered serious budget cutbacks. They backscaled on the story. It was originally going to be some grand epic, and now it's going to be a lot simpler. Len Wiseman, who directed the Underworld movies, as well as Live Free or Die Hard, has left the project. I selected this topic mostly because I wanted to get the opportunity to talk about video game movies on this podcast, but sounds like it sucks to be Cliffy B, or Dude Huge, as he likes to be called. That sounds like he's overcompensating for something with a name like that.
Dangly parts. Grand Epic getting scaled back to just kind of a ho-hum. That sounds like it's going to be another Ultraviolet. Because that's what that was to me. It was something that looked like it could have been interesting, and then
that movie sucks so bad.
Just kind of slipped into movie history with a and a shrug and a sigh. I already don't want to see this movie. I mean, I don't know much about the franchise as it is. It just, when something with such grand aspirations gets scaled back to just a little novella of a story, it psychs you up into thinking that it's something worth watching, and then it just kind of turns out just being another, so what else is new? You leave the theater, you forget the plot on your way to your car.
Leave your brain at the door when you're going into the theater, because you're not going to need it to understand this movie, probably.
And that's okay. I mean, there's a time and place for this, but when you're doing a movie spin-off of something else that's really successful, and you have that kind of name to live up to, it can't be another, mindless action flick. I mean, it has to be something memorable, or else you're going to screw it up.
Well, that's what they tend to do with video game movies, like Street Fighter, for example. Both Street Fighter live-action movies are mindless action. Granted,
they were memorable.
They sucked, though. The movie with Van Damme was a lot better, Van Damme it. But that's kind of like being the tallest midget in the circus, being better than being less shitty than a shitty movie, basically.
I don't know. Video games made out of movies were
Bad.
the other way around. Movies made out of video games are always like a touchy subject. Like you can't hate
the two
them.
worst video games of all time: E.T. and Charlie's Angels.
Wait, Charlie's Angels?
I didn't even know there was a Charlie's Angels video game.
That's a good thing.
Probably.
But yeah, they made Silent Hill. The Silent Hill movie turned out fantastic.
I actually really enjoyed the Silent Hill movie,
it.
and you know why that was good? Because they paid attention to the source material, which quite often they do not do with video game movies. But it had creatures from the game.
If you haven't ever played Silent, if you didn't play video games, you wouldn't be able to. I don't know.
You probably would see that movie and not go, "Oh, this is cool."
You wouldn't.
I still have not played any of the Silent Hill games. I saw that movie and I loved it. It was just really
I liked it.
Entertaining.
But I mean, most of the time, if you just stick to the fandom, people who have played the games are going to come see it, and they don't care if it's good, and I don't blame them. I'm not saying that that's stupid. I just, they'll want to go see it because they play the game. They play through it. They play through it a million times, and then they want more. They want to see a movie. They want to see more story. Having video games made out of movies, though, that's something different.
I gotta wonder if this Gears of War movie is eventually doomed. Anyway, getting back to Silent Hill, they had creatures from the game. They duplicated shots from the game right down to the camera angle. So there were multiple points in the movie where I'm sitting there watching and going, I remember playing this. That was cool.
they made Pyramid Head. They did him perfect.
Yeah, the Pyramid Head was great.
Yeah, he was great in
So-
that film. Never really explained him. He just shows up and kicks ass. Just like perfect. It's perfect.
Yep. And that was one of the better video game movies. And I realized once again that that's kind of like being the tallest midget in the circus. But it actually was a decent movie. But there are some that are just absolutely terrible, and
Like
you have to
Doom?
wonder what they were thinking.
You ever seen Doom with The Rock?
Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, well, that movie is fan-fucking-tastic, for one
I love
thing.
that stupid movie.
Oh, I watched it when I was like 5 years up. It was like my favorite movie.
I
as a
remember
kid.
that. I was like 7 or 8. I said, Dad, this movie is really awesome. He's like, well, I should imagine so. It got 1 whole star in the review paper.
Yeah, that star was golden, though. That star was
Yeah.
a lot
A
more
lot of people
important
hate that
than
movie.
most.
With good reason. It sucked. If it's good in any way, it's good because it sucks.
What can I say? It sucked so good. It was completely... I mean, yeah, it didn't do any justice to the games at all, but I was like, whoa. This is trippy.
Well, that was what? Following the popularity of Super Mario Brothers 3. Same thing with the Mario television show, which was also awful.
Although I wonder if they could go back and like take like the Super Mario franchise and give it like a Jim Henson kind of a twist, or even like a what's his name?
That depends upon what. Well, what do you mean by Jim Henson kind of a twist? Because
What that kind of
he did
stop
multiple
motion and,
different types of things. Like some of it was darker and more serious and plot oriented, and some of it was lighter and sillier.
a little bit both. I mean, like if you've ever seen Adventures of the Baron Munchausen,
Never even heard of it.
it's great. I would say so. It's a crazy movie. I was thinking more. What if they took like made like a Tim Burton-esque Mario? What if they somehow tied it in with the original, but not in such a way that they made it suck?
The Mario Brothers arcade game.
No. I mean with the
Well,
first
that was
movie.
the original.
The first movie, like they made references to kind of following up from the first movie, but made it more like the games, and just all around better, and didn't choose an English guy and a Puerto Rican guy to play two Italian brothers.
Yeah, it was a terrible choice, but there are other god-awful movies. And there are a few good ones. I really like Dead Space Downfall, but that was like a direct DVD kind of thing that the company did.
Was that the animated movie?
Yeah, it was an
with
animated
the-
horror film from
I
the creators
remember.
of Dead Space.
Yeah,
And
saw
I
it.
enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I did the motion comics that they did. The movie told the story that happened on the ship leading up to your arrival there. The motion comics told the story of what happened on the colony leading up to your arrival there. So it's kind of cool to get the perspective of both, like background information on both. And I thought I really enjoyed both. And then another one I really enjoyed is, and a whole lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but Final Fantasy: The Spirit Within. I thought it had a really, really good story to it.
I'm sure it does.
And the animation
I've never seen it,
is
but-
stunning.
Yeah,
Absolutely
especially
stunning.
for its time. I've never seen it, but I'm sure it is a great movie. But I never saw it because it's not Final Fantasy. You know, I feel like it is its own story with Final Fantasy just in the title. So
I actually prefer it to Advent Children. I did not
Well,
like Advent Children.
Yeah, me neither. But you know what else, D-Pad? You know what else isn't Final Fantasy? Final Fantasy. There are.
I thought you were going to say Final Fantasy 13.
Not really. You can't even name your own characters because there's no subtitles. It's all just voice acting. So they all have these really stupid names that you have no control over.
There's a character named Hope.
Ooh, emo.
And then there's this.
He's not nearly as
Annoying.
whiny as they make him out to be. He's not as bad as Vanille.
Yeah, I was going to say. I was about to bring up Vanilla.
Vanille. Ugh!
Ice pick in the air. Ice pick in the air.
there's like one thing that she says that's like tolerable. She says something about something bullet train to pulse. And it's like, it almost sounds charming there for a second. And then after that, she's like, la la.
So you want to strangle her?
Yeah.
With a guitar string.
Getting back to video game movies, why can't Hollywood seem to make one that doesn't suck?
Seriously, they make they take a video game out there that anyone can play, and they turn it into a movie that only a select few can watch.
Want to go see the Prince of Persia movie, though. That looks like
good.
It might be good.
That looks good if you play Prince of Persia. Like,
I've seen Prince of Persia and stuff, and it looks like they are paying attention to the source material.
Well, I don't want to see so much source material as I do want to see Hollywood elements. Elements that make a good movie, you know? Like, they don't...
Well, with video game movie, you need to do both, because if it winds up like being absolutely nothing like the games, no one is going to like it. So you have to have like the world from you have to recreate the world from the games and the characters and stuff like that.
Mega Man fan-made movie is coming out.
Less than a month away on ScrewAttack.com. It looks awesome.
I'm excited. It looks tacky as heck, but I love it.
Well, yeah, but how much story can you get out of a Mega Man movie? I mean, he got the robot masters all correct.
I was thinking more of the acting, but...
He got the robot masters all correct, and
yes.
Mega Man looks like Mega Man. What more do you want?
Mega Man looks like Mega Man. Roll kind of sucks, but, you know, you need her. Can't live with him. Can't live without him.
Dr. Wily and Dr. Light look like they should.
Oh, Dr. Wily looks perfect.
He's
got that mustache.
Wily.
He's got the voice. He's got those teeth. Oh, and he's so scabby looking. He was great for the part.
Yeah.
I actually feel bad for the actor. He looks so much like Mr. Wily.
On the latest podcast for ScrewAttack.com, Side Scrollers, Daily Destin actually said that it's probably the best video game movie he's ever seen, which I don't know how strong of a statement that is, but there are a lot of them.
Wait, what do you...
And it's kind of sad to think that some Mega Man fan, just some random Mega Man fan in film school is making a better Mega Man movie than Hollywood probably ever would. I'm surprised that they haven't made a Mega Man movie, though.
Yeah, I've been saying that since I was little. I don't know, they made a...
Maybe Mega Man is just slightly less mainstream than some of that other stuff that's getting made into movies. But you know why the fans are so much more better, or why this is going to be so much better than a Hollywood production? Because the fans know what the fans want, and Hollywood knows what the investors want, and the marketers, and all that jazz. I'm a big proponent of independent film.
Well, every single time a video game movie gets released, the fans of the game go see it, and then they get online and discuss just how much it sucks. You'd think after this having happened since like the internet started to go on the rise in like 1996 or 7, that Hollywood would have caught on at some point and said, we should make some movies that pay attention to the source material. You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Dude, well, gamers are going to find something to complain about after this.
Yeah, probably. But, I mean, there were more people that liked the Silent Hill movie than most. And there were some people that liked the Resident Evil movie, though I don't know why.
They made a sequel, didn't they?
Yeah, dude, they made... There's 3 Resident Evil movies. And there's a 4th one on the way that's in 3D, and you see the trailer in it, and they throw a 3D in your face by constantly having things fly at the screen.
What, the preview's in 3D? So...
Yeah, I don't know if the preview is in 3D or not, but I know they constantly have things flying at the screen, so they make it painfully obvious that the movie will be in 3D.
Do they advertise 3D movies when you're going to see a 3D movie? Like,
Quite
I guess
possibly.
that's the only time you can do it.
Did you notice that?
I don't think they do, because the only time when you first notice the 3D effect is when you see that MPAA screen right before the feature presentation.
This weekend, or next weekend, I guess, because this weekend is just ending in about 2.5 hours, technically.
Wow.
We need to go see Kick-Ass.
Oh, does that come out this week?
Yes, it does.
Oh my gosh.
You gonna come with us, D-Pad?
Yeah, sure. I've been dying to see that.
Awesome.
With
come with us.
with McLovin. Yeah, what is that actor? The guy who plays McLovin.
I don't know, but it turns out that the guy in Zombieland isn't him. Just a guy that looks like him.
Oh, you mean Michael Cera? No.
Yeah, I was like, isn't it the guy from
Yeah,
Kick-Ass?
no, it's the exact same character, but it's not. You know, that was tricking me in the theaters, you know. But after I came home,
it was tricking me too.
After I came home, I was like, yeah, that's definitely not him.
We should. Oh my gosh, we're 30 minutes in. We should move on. Video game movies suck, with a few exceptions. Anyway, Rockstar apparently has recently got a journalist fired for posting his honest opinion on Red Dead Redemption. The article I read did not state what his opinion was, but Rockstar emailed the company, and the company that hired the guy fired him over it. And they said that they wanted something more favorable of their game to be printed before it was even out. And they were talking about how it's already getting Game of the Year nods, even though the game isn't even out yet, and stuff like that. I think the game looks really good, but if this guy doesn't, and that certainly seems to be the case, I don't know, because they did not say what his opinion on it was. But if he does not think that's good, it's any good, then that's fine. He shouldn't get fired for being honest. He should get fired for having integrity.
Since when does that happen? He got fired for saying bad things about him?
Something. That's what it's
before
looking
it was
like.
even out.
Maybe he gave away. Well, did he identify himself along with his opinion?
I guess he had to. He got fired for it.
Well, I mean,
He would have had to, because they always have the article written by type thing, you know?
True. I mean, I don't know if it was it definitely a negative opinion, or was it more something that was just too revealing that they didn't want to get out?
The article didn't say, but it led you to believe that it was a negative opinion, because the email that Rockstar sent them was pretty much saying that they wanted their game to be represented in a more positive light before its release.
I don't think anybody should review a game until it's out. I mean, you don't see movie reviews until the movie's out.
Does Rockstar have any ties with the Gestapo?
It was more of a preview, really, and if the guy didn't like something that he saw and he was honest about it, more power to him. He shouldn't get canned for that. That's bullshit.
Yeah, I thought this was freedom of speech.
True, but it's also freedom of they don't have to retain him for any particular reason.
Freedom to
I don't
fire.
know if the guy was on tenure or anything. It's tough love.
Yeah, it's I want to know what his opinions were. The article did not say, and I thought that was a little bit frustrating, because I'd like to know what he said. The article that got him fired, the article he posted up about the game, has actually been pulled down, as you may expect. So it's no longer online. Apparently he posted something about it on Facebook, and that was pulled down as well. So Rockstar's pulling their power here and saying, you can't do that, you can't do that.
That's messed up that they took it off Facebook. I don't see what say any company has in what stays and gets left on Facebook. I mean, that's a completely independent entity there.
Yeah.
Unless you know, they have some kind of investment in Facebook, and I doubt it.
Well, I don't know. Rockstar Games does
That's
have a lot of
extortion.
power. They created, exactly it is, but they created Grand Theft Auto, so they do have a lot of power, obviously, from
Yeah,
that
but if
series.
Facebook is completely independent, that should be up to the Facebook administration.
I don't know. Maybe Rockstar pressured them into making him pull it down or something
I guess.
like that.
It's extortion.
Yes,
Don't let it happen to you.
It is extortion at its finest. It shouldn't happen. Unfortunately, it did. Bad news for him. He got fired over being honest, and that just shouldn't happen. If someone's got a negative opinion on a preview build of a video game or whatever, they shouldn't be canned for having their opinion. I mean, like, reviews and previews should be allowed to point out flaws. Saying, I like this and this and this, but this, not so much. This could use some work.
Now, I won't argue with, I mean, a business can fire somebody for whatever reason they see fit. I mean, jobs are hard to come by, and they can easily throw that leverage into, hey, you gotta do things our way, If you're gonna throw this opinion around, don't let us find out about it. But what is messed up is that they fired him, and then they threw around their leverage to get these arguments thrown down. I mean, it should be a cost. You should be able... There should have been an ultimatum saying, like, take these articles down, have these articles removed, or we will can you, or, you can have your freedom of speech, but then we're going to let you go.
For all we know, it could have been he refused to take the articles down, so they fired him and took him down anyway.
Yeah, but they can't take the article... Wait, what was this article originally? Not the Facebook one. What was the other one originally written on?
I don't know.
If it's not...
Off the top of my head.
On the Rockstar website or something, if it's not on something owned by them,
it wasn't on the Rockstar website.
Then they have no control over that. What if in the local newspaper, could they write the newspaper and say you have to take this down? No, they can't do that.
Well, this is a case of Rockstar forcing their will on someone else, basically. It's not right. It shouldn't happen. Unfortunately, in a tough business world and everything it does, extortion happens.
Yeah, a media company does not have any sway over the operational decisions of a completely different company.
Anyway, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, we're talking about that again. It's going to include references to other video games. Among these references will be one to Assassin's Creed, where Snake will be able to do the eagle dive from that series where Altair or Ezio climbed to the top of a very tall tower and then dove down.
Yeah, but
where he was able to survey things.
Hey, what's Snake gonna land in?
Probably hay would be my guess. This is just.
Where the hell is he? Where does the game take place?
This is.
Isn't it like out in the desert?
It's on some small island or something. And speaking of which, there will be a small island that you can visit that's supposed to be full of Monster Hunter creatures. So Kojima is paying homage to a couple of other franchises that he probably particularly enjoys. I was a bit surprised that one of them was Western. That's kind of cool, and Assassin's Creed is a very good franchise. I thought this was kind of cool to include in this game, so I decided to throw it into the podcast.
That's really respectable of Hideo Kojima, though. I mean, I always admired artists that borrow concepts from other artists.
I've also
like Tarantino. He borrows a lot of ideas from other like classical movies, like the Seven Samurai,
noir stuff,
Western movies.
Seven
Samurai.
Have you seen that movie?
I never have, but
I need to show it to you. It's very, very, very good. It's
long,
long,
gold.
Though. It is long. It's like 3 hours long, but it's extremely good.
Yeah, Seven Samurai is awesome.
Wait, I've shown it to you?
Oh, I saw it a while ago.
Oh, I thought because I own it. It's very, very good. But yeah, I think this is really cool, especially with the Assassin's Creed references. I like that game a lot. I haven't played the second one, but the first one is very, very fun. Flawed, but very, very fun. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it'll keep you engaged from beginning to end.
Isn't that a really funny word? Flawed.
No.
Flawed.
feel like it would be funnier if it was spelled F-L-O-D.
Sure.
Flawed.
F-L-O-D.
Yes. Flawed.
No! This is a song about Poland. To all of my Poles, this is a song. Poland lost the praise. Ooh,
Lost president.
I lost too many Poles that night. Ooh,
Pole,
one was black
Pole.
Pole and one was white.
White Poles.
One was purple like Barney's
Purple
tushies. The other was blue like a Smurf.
Blue
Lost too many
Poles
Poles that
like
night.
president.
Where you gonna go from here, Poland?
Hey Alex, how many poles does it take? Screw on Lapa.
Whoa, no. You're gonna get us in trouble like you did last time.
Okay, alright. No racist jokes.
What came over
No
me there?
Pollock jokes. I'm sorry, it's like, just sometimes we feel like the urge to break out into song.
Yeah, well,
maybe we live in a musical.
You gotta feel sorry for them. I mean, like, it's, people go to sleep feeling like everything's all safe, and next thing you know, they wake up and they're falling from a plane.
Next thing you know, your president's dead.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't.
Moving on.
Too soon. I don't know how much of that I'm going to leave in, how much of that I'm going to wind up cutting out.
That was a masterpiece.
American
Did you
Idol
hear our
style.
duet?
But for the first time, it took 5.5 episodes, but I finally had to use the restroom in the middle of an episode, unlike Alex, who took half an episode. So you have to use the restroom in the
Sometimes
middle
3
of it.
times in one episode. Well, I guess it's because, we drink beer while we do this.
Beer goes right through you. It
That's
goes
true.
through you faster than like
Yeah, but we
anything else.
use expensive beers. They don't go right through you. They just sit in your stomach like liquid bread, like bread soda.
Rhoda.
Anyway, moving on.
This story really, really captured my attention, and you'll find out why in just a little bit. Fear 3 launches this fall on the PC, 360, and PlayStation 3. Unlike the first 2 games, the studio handling is Day One Studios. They are developing it. It will feature a co-op mode where you can play as Point Man, the main character of the first game, and Paxton Fettel, the guy you were chasing throughout the first game. And this is why it captured my attention. The great John Carpenter is advising for the project. He's not writing it or anything else, he's just advising it. And I don't think you could pick a much better director than him to advise it. Who knows more about how to scare the crap out of people than John Carpenter? He did The Thing, he did The Fog, he did In the Mouth of Madness, he did Halloween. He's done so many great horror movies.
Hey, John Carpenter rules. He did Vampires.
That is a very fun movie.
He
very,
did
very fun.
Ghost of Mars, which I thought was awesome. I need to
Very.
watch that again.
I want to watch Vampires again.
He didn't do...
Unfortunately.
that was stolen from us. He didn't... Wait, hang on. He didn't do Dog Soldiers, did he?
No, he didn't.
Okay, because that one... It seemed kind of Carpenter-esque.
He is doing a movie that's coming out later this year. I think it's called The Ward. And it's like... As far as I can remember, it's a ghost story about an old lady dying in some kind of mental ward and like haunting it or something. And I'll be able to go see a John Carpenter movie in theaters. You have no idea how much that excites me.
With pretty much the same plot as Gothica.
But better because it's John Carpenter.
Yeah, it might be good.
But yeah, Fear 3, I really like the first 2 Fears. The first one is better than the second one. And you can read my review of the second one up on the website if you wish. I didn't do a review of the first one.
Fear is fantastic. I haven't played through the whole game, but I've watched it being played, and I can honestly say, like, it has gotten me more. My adrenaline was racing more than any movie that I've watched.
It's off
it
the top of
really
my head,
gets
I can
you
think
into
of
it.
one game that scared me worse than Fear did, and that
Let me
is
guess.
Dead Space.
Oh, Dead Space was such a nerve jerker.
Oh, dude,
It killed me. Around any corner, you have to, you could be attacked.
And it had such a good story, too, although that didn't really come into play until later on in the game. It took a while
That's
to
true.
get going.
When the shit starts to hit the fan.
But you were so on the edge of your seat for the entire freaking game that you just didn't care. It could have had a shitty story and you would have still loved it.
Yeah, fear is like supernaturally scary. You know, you see ghosts, you see hallucinations. And
Well,
it's
the best
creepy,
thing
but-
about fear is it plays mind games with you. It doesn't
Exactly.
go for the typical scare tactic.
Yeah, it's
jump
actually
out at
like
you.
psychologically terrifying. Like
Yes.
it'll keep you on.
And I find that kind of stuff to be scarier than jump out at you scares.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason why I like a movie like John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness so much. And part of the reason why I think that he would be perfect to advise this. Think about his movie The Thing, for example.
Mhm.
I mean, what's the scariest thing about that movie? No pun intended. It's the fact that you don't know who is the thing. Isn't
Exactly.
it?
It could be anything or anywhere. Like you don't feel safe.
It makes you not feel safe. It makes you feel paranoid because you never know. And that,
And nobody trusts each other. People start not trusting each other. You know.
yeah, that is precisely why the
sociological
thing is such a great
thing about
thing.
it.
And
We
fear
are-
is getting the master of
fear is just
psychological
fear is
horror.
just like creepy. Like you'll be walking and like hallucinations will happen. Your character will imagine himself like falling down through a ground and landing in like a pool of blood with bodies floating in it, but it turns out to be just a hallucination. Like
yeah.
stuff like that. You don't know what to believe. You don't know what's real and what's not.
You kept winding up in that hallway where it was filled with blood.
That same hallway and the girl at the end of the hallway.
And you kept approaching the door, and you got closer every single time.
Mhm.
And when you finally made it, you got to look through the window, and then...
What happens? What's through the window?
If I remember correctly, they were doing surgery on all of them. It was
That's messed
fucked up. It was very, very fucked up. This is a podcast where we don't bleep curse words. Fuck, fuck, shit, ass, balls, cock,
Shit,
titties.
shit.
What the cuss are you talking about?
To Madre!
Are you cussing?
Are you cussing with me?
Hey, no, I'm not cussing with you.
Anyway, this has me really, really excited for Fear 3. They pulled in the best of the best for directing or doing horror stuff. And they were already done a good job with the horror in the first two games. Like I said, Fear 2 isn't quite as good as the first one. They eased back on things like the enemy AI. So the enemies aren't quite as fun to fight as they were in the first one. Because in the first game, they'll kick your ass repeatedly until you figure it out. It's tough and fun because it's tough. Second game is actually quite a bit easier than the first one, although still very enjoyable. Still got a great addition to the Fear storyline. And I'm really, really excited about this game. I love Fear. I love John Carpenter. You combine Fear and John Carpenter. Fucking win, baby.
It's very exciting.
I am very, very excited about this. Do we want to move on to the last one? Last topic?
Yeah, let's rock and roll.
Going back to our first podcast here, and something we discussed in that. You remember us discussing how Zampella and West got fired from Infinity Ward by Activision. Latest development on that. Activision, well, they wound up filing lawsuits against Activision for their being fired. And
Wait, Activision filed lawsuits against Activision?
no,
I think that's
West
what you
and
just said.
Zampella filed lawsuits against Activision
Okay.
for being fired from Infinity Ward.
Not their fault. Pitfall 2 saw the light of day. Yeah, that's what I said last time.
Well,
Anyway,
Pitfall of the Mayan Adventure was supposed to be pretty good.
I heard. Is that for Genesis?
I think
Something
so.
like
I
that?
think the best version of it's supposed to be for Jaguar.
Ah.
There was a version of it for Jaguar.
Oh.
Probably the best looking version. Anyway,
Fun.
Activision has filed counter lawsuits against both Zampella and West. The reports claim that the heads of Infinity Ward were attempting to defect to EA, their former company, It said they withheld money from Activision. They were planning to set up their own company. And they held off on development of Modern Warfare 3 in a bid to get more money. That's quite the list of reasons right there why they fired these two. And if there's truth to this, I can understand why they got canned.
Yeah, that is, that's kind of shady. It's more than shady. It's surreal.
At least they gave us freaking reasons why these guys were fired with this list of stuff.
I don't know why they couldn't have done that to begin with, or maybe they just didn't want a media blow up.
Well, they got that media blow up. I mean, there's lawsuits and counter lawsuits. It's insane. I don't know what's really going on. As I posted on the website, 2 more lead members of Infinity Ward have quit. As you have already guessed, Modern Warfare 3 is already under development. Gotta wonder how they're going to do without 4 key members of the team for the first 2 games.
Welcome to KAME House, where the beaches are fine and the bitches are finer.
Dragon Ball Z Abridged is a thing of beauty. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. DBZ Abridged, or TFSabridged.com.
What'd you say, Alex? I didn't hear you. I'm not wearing pants.
That's probably a Simpsons reference there.
Originally,
Homer
yes.
was on the phone, and he said, you're going to have to speak up. I'm wearing a towel.
Oh yeah, they Team 4-Star. They reference all the classics, like Simpsons, Harvey Birdman,
Good show.
and stuff.
Good show. Made a very funny video game, too. Harvey
Yeah, it is.
Birdman.
Yeah, I heard.
I want to get the video game, not because it's a good game, because it's not very good. There's not actually much gameplay, but because it's funny. Anyway,
Did you hear about they made a Happy Tree Friends video game?
Yeah, wasn't it downloadable content for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360?
Yeah, it's free. It's the cheapest game, but it's great. You gotta ward them to safety, and carry them through like burning pits and giant scissors and things that'll kill them.
Anyway,
see how many you can.
We should really get back on topic. Weston Zampella and the counter lawsuits Activision filed. It's interesting.
I'm just pretty surprised we actually got light of this. After 6 weeks, I thought it was just gonna be dead news, and they'd cover it up. Be like, what firings? We don't know about any firings.
Well, we said it in our first episode. Something major went down there. Something
that they
major
didn't
went
tell
wrong,
us about.
and they
That's just
didn't
shady.
tell us what was going on. Now it appears we may very well know. And if there is any truth to Activision's claims, yes, they deserve to be fired.
I mean, that was creepy. They had us, the fans, thinking there was conspiracy theories going on. What were some of the other things we said in the first episode?
Aliens.
Well,
Aliens.
they also talked about how they set up a whole division dedicated solely to Call of Duty, and I think that's about it for this week. We're 55 minutes into this thing. We spent the first 20 minutes there talking about video game movies and why they suck and why Hollywood can't make
I don't know.
good
I
one.
think whether the movie is good or not, we all love video game movies.
One thing we
whether
didn't
the
bring
movie-
up was movies turn into video games.
Yeah, and those do suck.
There are some exceptions,
And
but for the most
there's
part,
always
you're right.
exceptions, but I love the Lord of the Rings movies to death, and all these video games came out, and I despise them. I loathe them because
Did you try the third Lord of the Rings: The Third Age?
Well, the game, no. What do you do? Is it like an RTS?
It's an RPG.
Oh, okay.
Action
See, I didn't
RPG.
like that because the
actually-
RPGs just follow the storyline
Well, this
completely.
followed like a group of people that were following the Fellowship or something strange like that. And it's
I want
not
to see a
bad
Lord of the
game.
Rings FPS.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
It'd probably be like Thief, the Dark Project.
Oh yeah, I love that game. I shot a guy in the face with a water
I expected
arrow.
you to go, "What's that?" when I said.
No, actually, I rented that once. I shot a guard with a torch in the face with a water arrow, and the torch went out, and the guy started freaking out, and I I lulled. I
But
lulled a jolly lull.
If there's one series of video games based off of movies that we can expect to be good quite often, it's Star Wars.
Always.
There's a lot of very good Star Wars games. The Battlefront series is very good.
And they've got quite a history. A lot of people don't know Star Wars video games have gone back almost as old as the original Star Wars itself. I think 81 was the first one.
The arcade game was cool with the first-person fight with Darth Vader and the attack on the Death Star and everything.
The pod racing games.
Yeah, those were fun. Knights of the Old Republic, which I'm gonna send you home with my copy of that game today.
Oh, KOTOR. It's pretty much like Morrowind, except in the
it's different.
Star Wars universe.
You'll see. It's very, very good. It's got a great story. It's got a branching story with.
I don't know. I think
endings.
the Gears of War movie is going to be pretty good. 'Cause, it's just a pretty malleable plot. You know what I mean?
I'm afraid it's going to wind up being a generic action movie.
Action adrenaline movie.
And they can't do action movies nowadays. Usually they can't do them as well as they did in like the 80s. The 80s were packed with badass action movies.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I love that ridiculous movie. Anyway.
Awesome. Rambo.
Oh, of course. Actually,
Terminator, the first one.
Oh, yeah. Rambo, I
Aliens.
couldn't get into First Blood nearly as well as I could get into Rambo 2. Rambo 1, First Blood Part 2, whatever the second one was called.
Rambo First Blood Part 2.
That's right. I mean,
The third one was just Rambo 3, and the fourth one was just Rambo.
Yeah.
Which we just bought.
Ridiculous.
And it's awesome. That movie is awesome.
I've
I've run across a lot of people that were disappointed with the new Rambo movie, and I'm like, why? I paid to go see John Rambo kill a bunch of people, and John Rambo killed a bunch of people.
Yeah. Well, it does take a little while to actually get to it, but
he killed people with his bow. What more do you want?
Yeah, true. I got Die Hard on DVD somewhere around here. We haven't watched that. That's my favorite Christmas movie.
It's right up there below the
Christmas
copy of Wind Waker. Speaking of which, I finished Twilight Princess this week, and I will be doing a review of it for the website, so expect that probably before the end of this week.
Is it going to get good reviews?
Oh, Lord, yes. It's the best 3D Zelda game. It's not perfect. It has flaws, but...
Better than Ocarina of Time, you think so?
Oh my gosh, yes. It's amazing.
That's a bold statement.
It's amazing, dude. The story goes above and beyond. It's
a
brilliant story.
Yeah, I started playing the Jack Black game, Brutal Legend. Oh my god, he's hilarious.
Fun.
Yeah,
so much fun.
It's alright. I hear a lot of complaints about the playability of it all. It kind of starts off like a hack and slash, and then it just kind of eases into like RTS kind of. Like, I gotta command troops. And
it doesn't go too deep into RTS. Even when it's playing
still
as
hack
RTS,
and slash,
it's still hack and slash.
But it's just like you weren't expecting it.
But that game has a cool story and a very highly imaginative and badass world.
Exactly.
The world is so much fun.
It's so stylized. It's so metal. It's brutal.
And it's legend.
Exactly.
Go,
and Jack Black
evil
just cracks me
power, ancient evil thing.
You guys are now known as Ironhead.
With an E.
So they know we're not fucking around.
Ironhead! So great. Such a great game. I need
that sounds like an angel singing. It sounds like a demon screaming. What you hear is called metal.
I love that.
I love it.
It sounds fucking awesome. That third guy didn't even have an analogy. It's fucking awesome. And you're damn right it is. I'm a huge metalhead, in case you hadn't figured that out.
I love it. Anybody who's ever owned a metal CD should play this game.
If If you like Judas Priest, you should buy this game. If you like Black Sabbath
Oh my god.
or Ozzy, you should buy this game. If you don't like Judas Priest or Black Sabbath or Ozzy, what the fuck is wrong with you? Oh man, we're over an hour into this.
Overtime.
I knew this one would probably last longer than the typical podcast because of our discussion about movie-based video games. I figured we'd spend quite some time on that. We spent less time on the Activision thing than I would have liked and the Rockstar thing, but other than that, I think we did pretty well.
Would you say that this edition was flawed?
I think last week's was more flawed than this week's.
Flawed. It's a funny word. Anyway, let's move on.
I think last week's was more flawed than this week's. I think the week before that is probably our best podcast.
Yeah. I'll give it that.
Yeah. Anyway, we should wrap this up. This has been another edition of Press the Action Button. I am Joystick.
I am Gameface.
And this is D-Pad.
On digital-delirium.com. Dude, you're stepping on the wire.
Oh, poop.
Anyway, we'll talk to you guys next week.
Keep on rocking and button mashing.
Press the Action Button. Out.